religious tolerance. How can we educate people in their religion as far as we cannot make the whole world homogeneous?
I think it's important to realize that most of the beliefs are really a mythology. So they are not really something that is coming from God. They are just man-made. So we have to respect each other's differences. Problem comes when people think that they're doing God's will by killing other people because these people don't believe the same thing that they believe, because they believe that their religion is from God, they're doing God's will. But the truth of the matter is most of these religions are 100% man-made, created by human beings. So just because someone thinks it's from God doesn't mean that it's from God. So we need to respect each, knowing fully well, which most people don't, knowing fully well that most of these beliefs are purely, as I said, 100% man-made mythology created by human beings, not from God.
Go ahead.
So, given that we have the history of religious tolerance in the Benin Kingdom, from the perspective of the Benin monarch, Oba Esige embraced the Christianity during the colonial era. I would say during the time of Portuguese, when the Portuguese people explored the Benin Kingdom in the 16th century. So at that time, Oba Esige was able to maintain his cultural religion as well as the Christianity. So what will you say about the current Oba of Benin? Do you think that such legacy still continue in the monarch?
Okay. I would like to first of all make an observation, if that's okay.
Mm,
The first thing there is that it was Obarugboa
mm,
that was very religiously tolerant as a king of Benin,
mm,
not Obaisige. Obaisige wasn't that too religiously tolerant
mm,
because it was a foreign religion that he delved into newly. So he wanted to enforce the newfound religion on his ancestral traditional beliefs.
of the Benin.
However, his son Obarugboa, who was more exposed,
Mm,
was able to understand that there is a difference between religious belief and native traditional beliefs. So that is the same exposure
mm,
the present Oba of Benin commands. It's well exposed, is well traveled.
mm,
So one understands that he had been in the palace where he was trying to explain to the Christian faith that
mm,
irrespective of you are Christian, but you should always understand that to us as a people, tradition is supreme to us. But that does not mean that we do not respect your beliefs. So I can categorically say everybody saw a very popular video on the social media, most especially on Facebook,
mm,
on recent times, where the Oba of Benin
mm.
visited a Pentecostal church.
Sure. Yeah.
That wasn't the first time it happened. Obaridiawa also visited a Pentecostal church in about 1980.
Mm,
So they have been. Don't also forget that Obaisege was the first person to establish a Christian cathedral in the present day Nigeria. So we other tradition our traditional institution understands
mm,
that beliefs are sacred, and it is left for the people to now also understand that every of us should be religiously tolerant, irrespective of whether you believe in tradition or you believe in Christianity. I'm not a Christian, but I don't have any issue or I don't have any problem with Christian beliefs. I don't think I will ever do. So these are some of the attributes of our earliest kings, and they have been able to tell us or show us the
mm.
path we can take about it, and that's exactly what we've done. So if you ask me, the present Oba is very religiously tolerant, but he understands that his own tradition is supreme, but however, is tolerant to Christian faith. So
Yeah.
that's my submission.
about Benin Kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Leon, what do you think about Christian religion that was introduced to Africa by the colonial people or the early missionaries that explored the continent of Africa? I'm not sure if, because some people, there's a kind of a debate that not the colonial people that brought the religion. So some people say that the missionaries came with the colonial people at that time that introduced Christianity to Africa. So sometimes you get confused. The colonial people or the missionaries, they were different.
Yeah, definitely it was the missionaries who came about with Christianity. Africans we did not have Christianity. But if you look at Christianity, the way it lives and its fundamental belief system, it is one of the most intolerant religions. Because if you look at what they believe, that if you don't believe in Jesus per se, you go to hell. That's very intolerant. We have nothing like that in the African religions that say if you don't believe in our way of doing things, you are condemned to hell. So we had a situation where the Protestants, the missionaries came with their religion and basically they imposed it not by proof of truth, but basically by killing those who didn't believe. So if you were not, if you believed in the African tradition, they looked at you as basically a pagan, and they forced people into this belief system. They didn't say, "Here is a religion. Let's look at it to see if it's true or not." Because if you look at the canons of Christianity, they are very intolerant. If you don't believe, you're going to hell. How is that taught? How is that a religion that is that I say respects other people? It does not. It's saying there's only one way, and that one way is believing in this man named Jesus. That's what it's saying. Our traditional beliefs don't say that. We never say if you don't believe in the African way, you are going. And we force anybody to believe in it. You look at the way Christianity spread across Africa, it wasn't through truth, it was through violence. The same as it was through violence, it was through people being forced. You convert or you die. It was that simple. You had to choose between life and death. If you wanted to leave, you basically converted. So it was never, it has now been say it's all about love. That's the new packaging that's been put on top of it. But initially, it was certainly not spread through love and harmony. It was through the sword that it was being spread all over Africa, even Europe through the Crusaders. So this is not something that is peaceful at all. It was something that came out forced upon the Africans, not because we were told, hey, this is what it is, believe or don't believe. It was either believe, you die, and that's it. So we can see that religion itself has not been, we're not very tolerant. Now we have, people I think have evolved to some tolerance, but when this whole religion thing started even in Africa or Europe, people were not tolerant. They were not at all, because most of the wars in the world have been fought based on religion. Colonization, religion, slavery, religion. Up to we are still having religious wars, war on terror, war on this and that, all about religion.
Do you mean that the Bible was constructed or demonized other religions in the world?
It depends what you call the Bible, right? So they are for Muslims, the Bible is what you call the Quran. So it depends what you call the Bible. So you have the Christian Bible, which is the New Testament, and then you have the Hebrew Bible, which is what people refer to as the Old Testament. So it depends what you call the Bible. Because if you look at, for example, I used to be a Christian. Most Christians don't realize this, that the Old Testament and the New Testament, they are not related in any way. They are not related, but most people don't know. Like 99% of Christians don't know that. They don't know that Christian Bible. The Christians wrote their own Bible, came along with it, pasted it on the Hebrew Bible, and then called it the Bible. They called the Jewish Bible Old Testament and their Bible New Testament. So these two books are not related in any way. That's why most people think the Bible conflicts itself, right? It doesn't. Books are not related.
I have one question for Imasuen from what you just said now. Imasuen, during the earlier, that is the earlier the time the Portuguese people explored the Benin Kingdom, was there any issue of religious conflict between the Portuguese, the missionaries, and the religious practices at that time?
Well, first of all, I'd like to first of all make two critical words. I want to use interchangeably and also to also separate those words: colonialism and missionary.
Hmm.
Yes, we Christianity can be ascribed to come with colonialism.
Hmm.
Certainly, that's true.
Hmm.
But the first Europeans that got to the the Benin Kingdom were not colonialists per se. Basically, because there was a mutual respect. The acceptance of Christianity was highly dependent on the people themselves. The Benins were not forced to accept Christianity when the Portuguese came.
Hmm.
That is why it did not strive for that long. Christianity became a separation techniques between the royalty and the nobility. Quite the royal house accepted Christianity.
Hmm.
One couldn't tell why, but the noble houses dissociated themselves from Christianity. So one with that understanding, one could say that the earliest missionaries that came to Benin,
Hmm.
notably the Portuguese, had no intention to enforce that Christianity, or even if they had that intention
Hmm.
per se, it wasn't enforced. It wasn't enforced, and that's why after some time it naturally withered out. I've had a cause to say this
Hmm.
before now, that because Christianity was not native, was foreign
Hmm.
to us as a people, he could not strive, he could not survive for that long. All right, we had at the point in time, we now had to realize that all that was foreign, all that came with Christianity wasn't truthful. So there was an honesty about,
That's it,
there
yes.
was an undertone,
Hmm.
there was an undertone behind it, and that's why it withered out
Hmm.
naturally without we having to fight the cause of, let's take Christianity out of our land, let's fight Christians. No, it didn't happen that way. It was a natural process. It came in naturally and it died out naturally because Christianity was not native, has never been native, and will never be native to us as a people. So it was foreign. It's a foreign religion, and it will always remain foreign religion. So, in conclusion to your question, Ma, I would say that when the Portuguese came, they might have had an undertone. They might have had a greedy reason for coming, but it was not enforced. It was the people themselves that voluntarily accepted it. And then when they eventually realized how forced it was, then they had to allow it wither out so that the native practices or the native belief, the Benin religion should have to take his proper place in the affairs of the nation once again. I think that's my point over this.
Yes, correct. Thank you. Mr. Leon, right now in Africa, what advice do you have for Africans who adopted this Christianity that was introduced by the colonial people or the early missionaries? Okay, say.
Yeah, so I think if you look at Christianity, what it has done to Africa, I don't see any, honestly, I don't see any benefit of it. You find we now have people who believe that miracles, they don't need to do anything, miracles are going to happen. So we are wasting our time going to these churches in Africa, for example, spending time going to church and believing that this is going to fix our problems. If we believe in Christianity, people give their money, they literally believe in anything. I've seen churches where people are made to eat grass, they're made to drink chlorine and all this nonsense because they believe in this religion that's telling them that if you believe, this is good for you. Look at other countries where they have no religion. Look at China, look at Japan. These are countries with no religion. These countries are way ahead of Africa and our religious beliefs in Christianity. What we need to realize is that religion, if we decide to follow Christianity, if people in Africa want to follow Christianity, good for them. But realize one thing, it's just a man-made religion that was made by some people. It's not the truth. We somehow have come to believe that this is 100% true. We don't know the origins. Most people don't know the origins of Christianity. If you ask most Christians, where did Christianity come from? They just know, well, it's in the Bible. If someone can lie with their mouth, they're certainly going to write lies. So just because it was written in what you call your Bible doesn't make it true. A liar is gonna write lies. If I can speak lies, I can write lies and package it and call that book a Bible or holy or whatever I want to call it. So we need to realize that for us as Africans to actually advance, we need to be Africans. We were created to be Africans, not to be anyone but Africans. We have tried to incorporate all these foreign concepts, even the concepts of Christianity. When you look at it, that somehow a man can tend to become God and dwell among us. It's a foreign concept. We had no such concept as Africans that God can somehow come down to reduce himself to become a man. It's a foreign concept without really thinking much about it. So we need to go back to our own culture and our own traditions of doing things. We will find the truth in that. We have adopted almost everything that is to do with Europe, their political systems, their religious systems. That's why Africa has gone nowhere. That's the truth. Other countries believe in
That
systems, and that's why they go far. China believes in its own system. Japanese believe in their own systems. We don't. We want to copy Europeans. We want to copy Americans. We basically want to be everyone else but Africans.
why is it today in Africa we always want to be westernized in everything that we are doing? Even the language, they didn't only come and impose their religion on us, they also impose their languages on us. When you look at Nigeria, we use Nigeria as an example today. If someone cannot speak good English, that person is being dehumanized. That person, they will start make mockery of the person. The same thing as the Christianity that was also introduced to Nigeria. If you are not a Christian in Nigeria today, you are being discriminated upon because you are not adopting the dominant religion that is not even ours, religion that was introduced by those who colonized us. Today we add more value to Christian religion more than our own cultural religions. Even the language they imposed on us, we consider it to be more superior today in Africa. Imagine, what do you think is why is it that we Africans we are adding more values to foreign or imported languages and religion in Africa?
Sorry, let me. So, because of the noise, generation noise, and all that, can I hear the question again, please?
I said, why is it that we are adding more values to imported kind of ideas in Africa, such as the languages that were imposed on us by those who colonized us, and also the religion they brought to Africa. Today, we consider Christian religion as more superior than our own cultural religion. Why do you think many Africans are adding more values to foreign ideas? Anything that has to do with the West, anything that was imported to Africa from the West is more superior than our own cultural norms and values and tradition in Africa.
I think the first point that there are already key factors. There are a lot of persons who have spoken about this. That the first thing that an African can do is mental emancipation, because we've been mentally enslaved all through the years. You know, I've said this 1,000 times that when the white people came, they didn't. That's why they didn't just come to tell us that. They didn't. Yeah, at one point in time, they were very forceful about it, like killing people, raping our mothers and our daughters, and all of that. But the greatest thing they did was to make us believe that all that is we is demonic, it's barbaric. All right, in such a way that we continue to still think to date that as black people that our ways are barbaric. That is why you see a lot of black people willing to kill for the retainship or for the evangelical spread of white ideology over their own African ideology. And that's what we need. All right. The very moment that Africans, all right, accepted all that was white, we stop being a civilized people. Now, if you look at the references, when you talk about old civilizations, ancient civilizations, all right, the Egyptian civilization, the Ethiopian civilizations, the Songhai Empire, the Benin Empire, these were people who were civilized beyond even the anticipation of the white people. And we stopped being civilized the moment the white people came, because we now had to do everything humanly possible to be like the whites instead of being ourselves. I've given quite some very good examples about what could have happened. Why is it that Africans see themselves as inferior? It's a thing of a mental enslavement. Now, we have to do a radical change about how we think, because right now I've had a cause to deal with some Christian friends of mine that the first thing I tell them that you're a Christian, I respect you. I don't have to be being angry for you being a Christian. It's a choice, it's a belief. Now I tell them that now that I said I'm not a Christian, I'm sure the first thing that you're looking at me is that is otherwise going to hellfire. And I tell them, you must understand this. I don't even believe that your hellfire exists. And that, as a truth, is the truth. Now, the first thing, why has the black people accepted all that is white over all that is black? Like I've said before, it's mental enslavement. The white people gave us something like an alternative that we felt is more supreme. All right? And our government is not really doing enough. Like the South Korean president the other time, I listened to him when he said that if the black people, if African can go back to their own culture, to their own tradition, they will be able to evolve back into the civilization they once had. That means you cannot copy other people and be better than them. You cannot copy other people and be greater than them. We have our ways. Our ancestors had the way they were thinking. Our ancestors had the way they were doing things that worked for them. It is only through when we realize that if we follow the path of our ancestors, and that's when truly, all right, things are going to work for us. Like for example, we're talking the world. There is a global problem, the global pandemic of the coronavirus. Now, we Africans were practically waiting for one white medical doctor or one white scientist to be able to give us vaccine or be able to give us profile medical solution to our problem. Don't forget, even we have had they have had different diseases at one point in time in Africa before the white people came. And one way or the other, the black people were able to get herbs, the natural medicine, to be able to combat some of these pandemics prior before the time the colonial people came. So the truth is that we zeroed our mind so much in believing that all that is white is superior and all that is black is inferior. Uh, in history, let me quickly say this. Let me round up with this. In history, there is an hypothesis that they call the Hermetic hypothesis. Now, I want to use a case study, Benin Kingdom as a case study. Now, when the earliest white people that came, the earliest historians that came to this part of the world, when they saw the kind of civilization the Benin people had, the only thing they could say was that the only way Benin could have been that civilized is if they had come from Egypt, because at that time they had believed that the Egyptians were white, unknowingly to them that the original Egyptians were actually black. So that means these people sees us as barbaric, that the only way Benin people could have been that civilized is that at one point in time we had a connection to the white world. All right. So this is how exactly they see us. They don't see us. They don't see good ever coming from us. And our leaders, our political leaders, have been one of the greatest undoing. We've had leadership problem all throughout these years. All right. They are the our greatest problem by always running back to the same wife that has put us in the same problem. So until Africans get true leadership, people who think very African, Africans will not be able to get it right any moment from now, except people who are pro-African begin to start wriggling their ways to political positions whereby they can create policies and create way of how do I put it? I'm trying to use a right word. Find way in sort of wiping up the entire idea we have about foreign religion or the foreign supremacy, and recapping our minds again with the ways of our ancestors, which is actually the only way that can take us to the very glory that African once had and something that we can forward to. I think that's about the submission, the leaders.
Thank, thank you. That's a good one. Thank you so much for that insight. Mr. Lloyd, I have one question I generated as Imaswen was speaking. So, according to him, he said we contributed or we are contributing to the construction of our experience as inferior.
That's really a tough thing to do, because it's a mental, as you were saying, it's a mental thing, and it's very hard to change the way a person thinks. That's the hardest thing one can do, to change the way someone thinks, because the way someone thinks is basically the way they're going to act. For them to even change that, I don't know what it takes, because this is the mental colonization we're talking about. We have been programmed over time to believe that we are inferior, so whatever we bring to the table is inferior to what white people bring, whether it be their culture, the religion, the way of life. We have been programmed that everything we do is not good enough. So automatically, we believe that we are not good enough. Whatever we have to offer is not good enough. How do we change it? The problem we have is the people who see the problem, there's only very few. So maybe 1% of people see it the way we see it. The majority of people are more likely, right now, you say you're not a Christian, they're more likely praying for you that you don't go to hell. So that's their thinking is, wow, you are going to burn in hell. I need to pray, because that's the way they've been programmed to believe what they believe. And even if you show them proof that more likely whatever you're believing is not going to happen, they do not accept it. So mental colonization
Exactly.
was one of the biggest achievements of Europeans over people. Up to today, we are mentally colonized. If you look at the languages we use, the way we view intelligence, intelligence is viewed on how well you speak English.
English, thank
Not
you.
how intelligent your idea is. No, you speak English well. Do you have an accent? That's how we view intelligence. You could be saying nothing, but if you say it in perfect English, you are the greatest. But yet, Europeans, the Germany chancellor doesn't speak English. The Italian prime minister, they don't speak English.
Thank
Prime
you.
minister, they don't speak English. We've just been programmed to think that whatever Europeans are offering is the best. The other time, it's a true story that happened. I was on a live chat. Someone was complaining that the conversation was going on in the native language. They're like, why don't you use English? Because we need, this is an international platform. I'm like, we need to use English. Why do white people have to hear what we are saying? Why do we need to make them happy? Whenever they're speaking in Germany, they don't say, by the way, let's speak in Shona, let's speak in Zulu so that people in South Africa can hear us, people in Nigeria can hear us. We go at great length to make sure we're speaking in English so that somehow some white person we think they are looking at us, they need to hear what we are saying. Yet they don't even tune in to see what we are saying. But somehow we want to make them happy to show that we are educated by speaking English. So we have adopted this concept that whatever they bring to the table, if they bring a religion, automatically it's better than ours. I'm not even going to ask any questions. Where are they coming in with this concept? We don't even ask. And we just think right now, you know what? White people said it. It has to be true. That's the way we look at it. We don't believe that we are there's a mental colonization going on. We just believe it's our own selves, but it's very hard to unshackle this mental colonization. I really couldn't tell you what to do because most of the people that's their mindset.
Yes. Yeah, what you just said now reminds me of what happened a few weeks ago. I was discussing about my grandmother to she was very, very intelligent when she was alive. Very intelligent, one of the most intelligent human beings I've ever met in my own entire life. But the person I was discussing it with, that the first question the person asked me said, "What school did she attend?" You understand that people just believe that to be intelligent means that you have higher education. You can speak good English when you are coming from English speaking country in Africa. You understand? So for them, when you say somebody is intelligent, they don't even understand that somebody can be extremely intelligent, not even going to school. Intelligence is something natural in you. You were born with that intelligence. You don't need school. There are many educated people. They are not that very intelligent. If you go to school and learn how to read and write, is that intelligence? It's a kind of learning. When you go and learn, for instance, you learn how to sew clothes. You are a fashion designer. Does that make you an intelligent person? It's the same thing at school. We go to school to learn how to read and write. Does that mean you are intelligent because you can learn it? What about those who learn how to repair cars? What about those who learn how to make shoes? You don't want them intelligence. The person is a professional. He knows how to make shoes. He knows how to do this. He's a good hair salon. She can make good hair. She can do this. We don't associate those things with intelligence. We only associate anything that has to do with Western anything that was introduced to us by the Westerners are considered as intelligence, education. So for me, I think that people can be extremely intelligent without even going to school.
Yeah, exactly.
That is my own belief. And when people continue to ask me questions about how can you say somebody is intelligent when the person didn't even go to school, I say, what do you mean? Must you go to school to be intelligent.
Yeah, I think we confuse educated and intelligence. They are two different things, right? Someone is educated in terms of they go learn whatever history, but that doesn't mean they're intelligent. So we tend to confuse intelligence. You think that an educated person is intelligent. Not necessarily. If you look at the most successful people in the world, most of them have no higher education. They've never been to university. Most of them, they're just intelligent people. They're not educated people. And most of the time, the intelligent people who do well in life, not necessarily the educated.
In Africa, when you can really speak good grammar, even though you haven't invented even a pin before in your life, as far as you can communicate grammar, you can go to the dictionary and use grammar to just communicate grammar. You are considered as the most intelligent person in the country. Of which this person is not adding even one value to the development of that country. The only thing he or she knows how to do best is to study the dictionary and use the grammar. Then you can impress millions of people. That's what the people, there's the Europeans, what they have taught Africans. They wash us and colonize, not just colonize us, colonize our conscience in Africa. And this, today, if you try to educate some people, they will tell you that they don't. It's very like what you said before. It's very difficult to educate people these days. They won't even listen to you. And mostly when it comes to religion, forget it. Forget it. When you try to educate them that this Bible was written by somebody, most of them they read the Bible. They don't even know who wrote the Bible. They don't know who wrote the Bible. They only read what is written in the Bible. In order for you to understand and know the purpose of the Bible, you need to know the history, where this Bible came from.
Yeah, most people are not looking for the truth. They just want something that makes them feel good. So no, they are not really on a truth quest. So it's something that makes me feel good. So even if you show them the errors of whatever they believe, they don't care because they don't want the truth. They just want something that makes them feel good. So this belief in that there is someone who is dying for me or whatever makes them feel good. That's all they care about. So they don't really care about the truth. So when you look at it, most people are not really concerned about, well, what is the truth? Which is the best way to go? It's about, well, I'm comfortable in my life right now. I don't want to do anything else. So we're not on a truth quest. That's 99% of the people are not on that. We're just only on a feel good. Tell me something that makes me feel good. Well, what makes me feel good is if you tell me that I'm going to go sing on Sunday and say, oh, how great the whatever is. That makes us feel good. I'm going to hang out with my church buddies. It makes them feel good. So most people don't care about the truth. That's the truth. They really don't. They just want something that makes them feel good. If you give them something that makes them feel good, and this whole concept of European culture being superior, that's why we learn to speak English. We come over to the Western countries, and people look up to everybody who's in a Western country as if somehow, we are above the people who are not in a Western country. So you find people look up the people that are back home in Africa. They tend to look to the people who are in diaspora, like, oh wow, you guys are in Canada, America, UK. They look up to that as if it's something when it's really nothing, just a place to stay. But because we have elevated this culture to say this is the best culture, we look at it. It makes us feel good. Someone can live a better life in Africa, but somehow they still think, if I was new, way better. If they don't realize all the things that are not good about this place, they don't realize there's a lot of stress, a lot of racism, a whole lot of things that don't exist when you're back home. If you're back home, you don't have all these issues of worrying that, oh, by the way, I am black. You don't think about that because most people around you are black. It doesn't matter what color you are, right? But when you are here, those are some of the things that you have to deal with on a constant basis. Your children, at work, you name it. But we don't want to face the truth. We don't want the truth. We just want to feel good. So give me something that feels good, and I'm going to drink that Kool-Aid.
Thank you, Will. So, Imasue, I know that you have been promoting the Benin culture and history, and you are a great custodian of the Benin history. So, how are you working to at least educate the younger generation in Benin Kingdom to understand the importance of our culture?
Well, it's always I think one of the definition of culture is that it is a way of the life of a people. The culture is what makes a people a people. It's something you cannot separate from a people. Badly, quite badly, in recent instances, we have adopted Western culture. Like I've said earlier, no matter how a good copier you are, you can't be like the original. And that's where a whole lot of Africans are missing it because we try to copy other people's culture, and because we are not the original inventor of that culture that we now copy, it's going to get to a point where we're going to get stuck, and that's exactly where we are now. Now, until we understand that our culture brings the best, it's a something. The culture of the people is the original self, is the original existence of those people, and that is what we need to understand. Adopting African culture for the Africans is the only way that we can actually bring out the true potential of Africa as a continent or Africa as a people. Now, having said that, we're doing all the best that we can to be able to tell our people, not just telling them that whatever Western culture or whatever Western ideology is impending, all right, with the original, the native culture of the people, and that is why we're not working absolutely to the very true potential of ourselves. We are proving, we're giving historical knowledge. We're trying to equip our generation to understand that at a time where we were not colonized by these people, we built a remarkable empire. We have a civilization uncomparable to none. All right, that is where the history has to play a very good role in the reinvigoration of people's culture, because you have to show them examples. You have to show them that at one point in history, when the white people were not here, when the white people have not infiltrated our native culture, this is what we were able to do. This is a mechanical proud. For example, the Benin moth is quoted to be the greatest archaeological feat prior before the mechanical era, recorded in the Guinness Book of Record in 1986. All right, these were the people who came together to build that. All right, we had an architectural pattern that the any other Western civilization that was a bit close to the architectural ingenuity that the Benin people one time is the Roman. Now, we've had our bronze works, our artistic prowess is second to the none in the world. These are scientific evolution. The science of being able to use artworks to record history, not necessarily the act of writing now, that probably came with the Egyptians or probably the Western world. That the point I'm trying to raise here is that when you compare this, what we were before the white people came and what we are now, is like we've demoted like a million times backward, and that's because we dropped our native culture to imbibe a foreign culture. And it's just like if you understand a bit of biology, when a foreign material, all right, gets into the human body, all right, the antibodies react that this thing is foreign. So it's always a constant reaction. There is always an infighting between the foreign and the native. All right, that's exactly what is going on, because we are being westernized daily all through these years, and our native culture is fighting the Western culture, the European culture, the white man's culture, and so it gives an instability of minds to us. Like, what do we do? Like, if you are going to ask me now, how are you going to separate what is native, what is a native culture to an Edo man, and what is a foreign culture? Now, they might not be able to separate them anymore because they have been so intertwined that a lot of us are unable to separate what is true and what is false. And that is where there is a problem. One has to pave way for the other. And the one that has to pave way for the intelligence, for the creativity, all right, for the ingenuity of the African people to come to the limelight once again is this Western ideology. Until it goes, the point is the Africans will be unable to get it right, and that is what we must look into, and that is what we must do.
Do you think the Western civilization that people said it is will one day be eradicated from Africa? Well, I don't think so. If we said that we can't resist the Western civilization anymore in Africa, it's too late. Do you think one day Africans
No,
will
no,
do
no. No, I think, sorry. I think, let me quickly say this. I think I'm not saying we should resist.
it?
We should resist Western indoctrination, Western civilization. All right. What we must do is this. I'll give a very good example. When the white people came in the 15th century, the first coming of Christianity into Benin in the 15th century, what the Benin's did, they understood there is differences between the Western civilization and their own native civilization. They understood that, but what they did was to extract that which was real, that which that can be used in enhancing, furtherly to enhance. For example, at that point in time, the Benins, who were imperialists at one point in history, all right, needed those weapons from the white people to fight other neighbors to expand their empire. They were able to extrapolate some of those Western ideas to furtherly enrich their own native ideas, all right,
Yeah.
and make do with those ones that were sort of infiltrating or corrupting our native ideas. And I think that is the mode at which we should be thinking towards. One cannot totally eradicate Western ideology, but what Africans can do is to extrapolate, look at those Western ideology that we can separate, that we can imbibe, that we can take, and use it to enrich our own African civilization so that it's a robust, it's something like the Indians did. At one point in India, India's sent forth a whole lot of their native indigents to copy some of those engineering, some of those technology from the Westerners, and they brought it back to the native ideology of Indian and use it to enhance the economic and whatever, in the economic strength and probably in technological advancement of that nation. I think that's exactly what Africans should do. We can copy some things from the white, just like they have been copying. That is the point I want to quickly drive at. Let me round up with this. The white people, right from inception, have copied a whole lot from African to enrich the civilizations that they have now. Was copied from us as a people. Only that they were a little bit galvanized in a way that it is certainly now looks foreign to us. So they copied some of our civilization to enhance the growth of their own civilization. All right, and now it is time for we to also copy some from them to also enhance the growth of African civilization. I think that's what we should completely look into, and that's my submission on this matter. Thank you.
So I have a final question that two of you guys need to answer before we will end this conversation today. So, given that we are living in a globalized world, we are interconnected these days. It's not like before the colonial era where whereby indigenous people, they were all living separately all over Africa, all over the whole world. But today we are living in a very different world, globalized world. And moreover, in the midst of this our globalized world, we have different religions, different cultural practices. So how can we live in peace and harmony in this globalized world with different religious beliefs and with different cultural practices? What message do you have to give the rest of the world of how to tolerate others based on their cultural practices, their tradition, and their religious practices as well?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that we were created to be who we are. So we should not be trying to impose our own culture and beliefs on other people. So the problem we have is we have these colonizers, even up to now, America is still a colonizer, trying to impose their way of life, whether it be economic, social, political, or other. That's what's causing all this conflict. People wanting to impose their way of life, whether it be religion, on other people. And we should absolutely not be doing that. Realize that whatever your way of life is not necessarily the same as someone else. And your way of life, just because you believe that is true, it was someone came up with it. It's a mythology that whatever you call your Bible, that was written by somebody who made it up. So that is what we have to realize. God created us to be either Nigerian, Zimbabwean, South African, Canadian, or American. Do not impose the European way on him. Do not try to impose the European way on Asians. Let them be Asians. Let North Koreans be North Koreans. Let Saudi Arabians be Saudi Arabians. They have their own culture and tradition. You look at the Middle East, the reason why nobody messes with the Middle East, even though they don't have democracy, is they've been very straightforward with America that we are not going to accept your way of life in our it's unacceptable to us. This is our way of life. The reason the Western world has been able to impose itself on us is because we are not firm in our own, we are not confident in our own culture. We don't tell them that this is acceptable to us. People in the Middle East have told America, do not bring your way of life to us. We don't want to hear it. And yet the Middle East is better than Africa. You go to Dubai, you go to Saudi Arabia, all those places are basically first world countries. And yet they don't have anything called democracy there. Why? Because they've basically held on to their culture. They've told the Westerners that if you want to do business with them, it's going to be terms. Whether we believe that their culture, traditions are backward, let them be who they are. Let people be who they are. Let them be who they are. Let Africans be Africans. Do not impose your economic, political systems on us and force us to do anything. That's the whole reason why America is at war with every single nation, because they've been trying to impose their way on North Korea, their way on Africa, their way on Venezuela, their way on Syria, their way on Iraq. They're trying to impose their way of life. Let those people be, and the world will be very, very peaceful if we let everybody be who they were created to be.
Yeah, that's what they said that this democracy is rooted in the West and they are trying to enforce it on other countries. You don't have to have a democratic society in order for the leader to be performing well. Like in Nigeria, we have a democratic government for a long time now. But when it comes to corruption, Nigeria is one of the countries that is well known in the world that is very corrupt. But people are saying democracy thing. I don't think democracy is really producing good governance in some cases, like what we're experiencing. And many people also argue that democracy is not compatible to African culture. That's why democracy is failing in many African countries. We don't know. There are many other, like what you just said, that there are many other countries who are not operating this democracy system of government. But they are even doing better than those who are operating democracy system, right?
Exactly.
So I'm not going to you, the last question. How can we live in peace and harmony in our globalized world?
Well, it's still
How can
boiling.
we, let me ask the question again.
Okay.
How can we live in peace and harmony with different religious beliefs in the world, different cultural practices, and all that? How can we tolerate each other in peace?
Well, I think um, he has given a blueprint about it. Um, the whole tolerance issue. All right. African has to be African. But however, if you look at there's the Middle East was able to tell the Westerners like, look, this is who we are. You cannot enforce your ideas upon us.
You know,
That's a
so,
problem again about Africa. That is why one of the greatest problem about Africa as a continent is leadership. Do we have the leaders that's going to say that, look, we don't want your westernization anymore? Otherwise, even if we want to be tolerant against, want to be religiously tolerant with the Westerners, do the Westerners look at us? First of all, they don't look at us as same. They look at us as superior, inferior to them, that they are superior. Now, and that is a balance gap. All right, we have to first of all maintain a gap that look, we have our way. You must allow us do things according to our ways. Now, we talked about democracy as more of like a Western system of government. As you really helped us, using Nigeria as a case study, ever since democracy was introduced to Nigeria as a country, has it really helped us? No, it hasn't. Compared to compared to when the Benin's run a monarchy system. Now, a whole lot of people, there is an advocacy right now in Benin that says that until we revert back to the kind of a system that defined us, which is the monarchical system of government. But you see a lot of Nigerians and saying that all the kings in Nigeria they should banish all the kingdoms in Nigeria. There should not be any king in Nigeria. That democracy is the only way. And when you ask them that compare now when democracy was introduced to us as a people, when we actually had our own different types of governmental system or governmental practices, there is a sharp difference. One when that suits us as a people, and the other that the one is being imposed on us. Now, we're talking about peace and harmony. We cannot live with peace and harmony with the Westerners when they continue to extort every single thing from the African soil because of the failure of leadership. Now, we're talking about a new world type of colonization by the Chinese people. Look at how Africans are running to Chinese to get loans. All right, even Nigeria government, even Edo state government, we're going far there to get. There's a case study now that Chinese is almost taking over Zambia. All right. Now, how do you think that there's going to ever be any peace between the Zambia people and the Chinese people when the Chinese people continue to look at Africans as inferior? First, we have to first of all attain that equity state before we start talking about whether there will be peace and harmony between these different continents or between the Africans and all the parts of the world. Because to us, we have a leadership gap that has failed us so much that until we start having true leaders that is going to tell these Westerners that look, this is who we are until you leave us alone for us to be able to practice our people, there is no room for negotiation until African leaders get it right. All right. I have to keep hammering on that leadership flaws that has bequeathed us as a people. That is why you see these people looking down on us as inferior. All right. The Westerners do not look at the Middle East as inferior, because the Middle East has been able to stand their ground to tell them that whatever sort of government or whatever side of ideology you have stays with you. What will wrong with the set of an ideology? Now there's an equity, there's a respect between a Saudi Arabian and an Englishman. There's a respect between an American and Saudi Arabia. There's a respect. Now, when that respect has been attained, then you start talking about peace and harmony. All right, which the failure of the leadership of African has given these Westerners so much room to look down upon us, that it is almost as of now very difficult for we to start saying whether there's going to be religious tolerance or not, when one people, the other side of the people, continue to look at us as inferior. Until we're able to mesh that gap, then we start talking about peace and harmony. And that has to do with African getting the leadership right. And we'll continue to say, yeah, let us be religiously tolerant. Yes, we're going to be religiously tolerant. Yes, I'm religiously tolerant with the Christian faith. I'm religiously tolerant with the Muslim faith. But are the Muslims, are the Christians, are they religiously tolerant with my faith? No, they are not, because they don't see me, they see me as inferior to them. Until we now start talking about the equity of humanity, then after we are able to attain the equity of humanity, if that can ever be possible, then we'll start talking about tolerance of religion, which I think is going to be very difficult, but however, it is possible.
What I'm trying to say, the type of message we are trying to convey into this show is that as we are living in a globalized world, we are so much interconnected in everything, through trade, through everything, social practice, everything. So if we don't continue to kind of adopt that sense of tolerance, it might lead to conflict. And according to the history of the world, we have had so much conflict based on religious intolerance in the world. So we are living in 21st century. The whole world is becoming a global village now. I think if we continue with this type of ideology that my religion, my own religious belief is more superior than others, we are imposing conflict, we are imposing trouble. And tomorrow, can look at what is going on in Nigeria right now, in northern Nigeria, between the Boko Haram and the Christian population in the north. In most cases, Boko Haram we adopt people and single out those who are Christians. So, for me, I believe that people are not supposed to be dying from all these causes in the world. People are supposed to be dying from natural causes, like what is going on in the world now, coronavirus, because it's natural causes. So, yeah, so that's my own idea of this show is to educate people, to build a sense of tolerance. As human beings, we are not supposed to be dying from war. We are not supposed to be dying from religious conflicts in the world. People should die from natural causes.
Let me quickly say this, Madam Ekman. I totally agree with you that we have to be religiously tolerant. I'm an apostle of being religiously tolerant. I am very religiously tolerant. Now, if you're not talking about religious crisis between the same people, religious crisis affecting Africans, the black people, then you talk about religious tolerance. Yes, it is good to be religious tolerant, all right? Now, but what I was hammering on, all right, was the white and the black people. Before you start talking about being religiously tolerant, you have to first of all looking at the equity. One, the Africans to a very large extent have been very religiously tolerant. We are not the one who is telling the black people, or sorry, the white people, that Christianity is fake. They are the one who is telling us that our tradition is barbaric. We are,
what about Christian? Muslim persecution going on in the world.
And that's the point.
Muslim.
Now, it now becomes it's if it's not if we are not talking about similar race, the black that you talk about. Yes, they should be religiously tolerant. A Muslim is supposed not to see Christians that their belief is more superior than theirs. That's where tolerance comes about because there's already equity of skin color. Now you now talk about being religiously tolerant. I feel that where the Muslims have to come to a point where they have to believe that whatever they believe is personal. Even the Christianity believes that salvation is personal. All right, and I believe that one of the greatest crises that is affecting humanity is a religious crisis. Just like you said, that you believe that the only way humans should die is natural cause of death. But you know, religion itself was invented; it's man-made, and that is why it will not naturally die. But however, I believe in religious tolerance. That once we are tolerant religiously, the world becomes a better place.
Yeah, I think I want to add something on religious tolerance. So it's not necessarily that Islam and Christianity, those are the two main religions in the world. Those are the ones we've been focusing on. The problem, if you look at those two religions, their tenets and their beliefs are intolerant. So if someone says, if you are not a Christian, you're going to hell, how is that tolerant? So if you are believing in a mythology or a religion that says whoever is not a believer is going to go to hell, it's very hard for you to be tolerant. Because you're part of that religion, what do you believe? You are going to believe the other person who is not in it is going to hell, and they are wrong. So if you are in such a religion, which is really man-made, it's a mythology, you cannot be tolerant. As much as you can say outwardly that I'm very tolerant, but your religion says for you to go to heaven, you have to be a Christian. For you to go to heaven, you have to be a Muslim. How can that be tolerance in that? So you find that these two religions, mainly, they are not tolerant. The people may tell you otherwise, that, oh, I'm very tolerant. I don't care if you're a Muslim, if you're a Buddhist, if you're a Hindu, but your religion is not. And you follow that, and you believe in your heart and mind that your religion is from God. Your religion is not tolerant. So basically, whatever, you're in a place of confusion, cognitive dissonance. That's what you're in. Because your religion is saying, hey, the only people who go to heaven, or the only people that are correct, are in this religion. And there's no way you can tolerate me when I tell you I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Christian. Automatically, you are feeling sorry for me and praying to your God that he makes me be part of you so that I can be saved. So that's the problem we have. We believe in these religions that are not tolerant. That's the problem. We cannot be tolerant. So a Christian technically could really not be tolerant because they are believing that anyone else is not a Christian is going to hell. A Muslim technically cannot be tolerant because they're believing the same, that if you are not believing in Islam, you are going to hell. But our African ways do not believe that at all. There is no traditional religion that says if you don't believe in this way, you are going to hell. Now, that is tolerance.
Yeah, exactly. That's why sometimes some Christians, when you tell them that you are not a Christian, they try to preach the word of God to you. They tell you that you know that if you don't go to church, you're going to go to hellfire. People discriminate you just because you are not a Christian like that, because they believe that to be a Christian, you must be going to church. And sometimes people mistake the differences of going to church and practicing the word of God in the Bible.
The reason.
No, sometimes they mistake the differences between going to church and living and practicing the biblical, let's say, what the Bible is teaching, right? So going to church is a different thing. Believing in the Bible and practicing the word, everything written in the Bible is a different thing entirely. But people sometimes, so ignorant people who don't even know anything about the Bible, they believe that going to church makes you a Christian. If anybody can go to church, it's like going to a party. Somebody, your friend is celebrating a party, you went there and danced with your friend. That is going to church. Practicing what is written in the Bible is a different case entirely. Some people still don't know that. You understand what I mean? And moreover, when some people who call themselves Christian and they try to preach the word to you because they believe that you are not going to church, therefore you are already scheduled to go to hellfire, so-called hellfire written in the Bible. And they try to use that. Sometimes they can even use it to discriminate you because they believe that you are going to hellfire, you have already been crowned that going to hellfire. So people are very ignorant of the Bible. Majority, I will guarantee you, majority of black people, mostly Africans, who are going to so-called church, they don't know the nitty-gritty of the Bible. They don't know the root of the Bible. Majority of them don't even know the message in the Bible. But because of their ignorance, they carry that ignorance, even using it to discriminate people. So that's what we are trying to let people understand, educate many people who are ignorant of religion, that there are many religions in the world. There are many religions. You don't have the right to impose your own religion on people, and moreover to discriminate people just because you believe that your own religion, your religious belief is more superior than others. Like Muslim, you see the persecution that is going on in the world today. We can't deny that the Muslims, they are persecuting Christians just because they believe that to go to whatever the Quran is telling them is to be a Muslim. In most cases, when Boko Haram kidnap people in Nigeria, they single out Christian population. Anytime they single out Christian population, is negative news we are going to receive about those people. So what we are trying to do here is to educate people a little bit more about religion, how we can build that sense of tolerance. We are not only speaking to Christians, we are speaking to everybody on earth. No matter your religious practice, no matter where you are in the world, whatever religion you believe in, we believe that we can live in peace in our globalized world if we continue to tolerate each other, whatever belief we are holding. As far as your religious practices yield, for instance, if you believe in Buddhism, for instance, as far as your religious practices are is not posing any threat to the coexistence of human beings on earth, I don't think as a Christian, if I call myself a Christian, I don't have the right to discriminate you or to try to prove to you that my own religion, my own religious belief is more superior than yours. That is the type of message I'm trying to convey in this show today. I thank you guys for coming to the show, and if you have anything to add to it before we end, just go ahead and say whatever you want to say.
Well, thank you for having us on. It certainly is a place to listen to different ideas. I think what I want to end on a note is, if you, at any point in time in your life, if you feel like you need to preach, convert someone to your religion, basically make sure you know the origins of your religion, because most of the time you are trying to convert someone to something that was created by another mythology. So don't, well, I need to convert you to be a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, or whatever, all those things, without knowing the origins of your religion. Most people don't know the origins of it. They don't know who wrote their so-called holy books. They think somehow these books were written by some divine beings or something. So before you start going on a crusade to do any conversions or praying for those that are lost, make sure you your religion. That's why God gave us the mind and the brain, so that we can actually think, discover, and know more about our religion. If you find out 100% that your religion is true, then maybe go on a crusade to, to protect it. But most of the time, you're going to find that you are basically believing in a mythology that was 100% man-made by human beings in their basements or in cave, wherever some of this.
Thank you, Mr. Elliot. Thank you so much. Zotuwa, do you have anything to add to this discussion?
All right, I think I'm going to be very brief with this. The little thing
That if you are done, let me know so that I take you away from the screen. If you think you are okay, I can take you away from the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
The little thing I want to add. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
The little thing I want to add there is this: there seems to be a constant factor on the practices of different religion, which is the God factor. They all believe that there is an existence of God out there. All right, and that God, like I believe in African tradition or the Benin religion. All right, we believe that there is an existence of God, and that God created humanity. All right, now, but the religion itself was was not created by the humanity. So, my advice is that all humans should know that we are humans first before our beliefs. All right. So if you understand that this person is a human, this person is a human, and we are all created by God, irrespective of whatever you believe in or whatever race that you belong to. It will make you understand that there is no need for discrimination of beliefs, of discrimination of skin. So the religious tolerance comes from understanding that we are humans first before the man-made religion or the man-made beliefs. That's
That's
that's my conclusion. Thank you.
that's what Leon said, that religion is socially constructed by human beings.
Yes.
Socially constructed. So thank you so much. So what next time we're gonna be discussing more, maybe about this topic in another, maybe we approach it from another perspective a little bit.